let's talk hem. Definition of hem. Sorry, an edge made by folding back the margin of clothes and sewing it down. You can also say that the edge or border of a garment, drape, etc., especially at the bottom, is hem. We all know the definition of an hem. We know, but when it says, okay, the hem of my clothes, this is it. Why am I laying this emphasis? I'm laying this emphasis because many people do not know the role that proper hemming plays in the final look of an outfit. As a pattern drafter, it is your role to lay emphasis on this by doing the following. So these are the things that a pattern drafter should do when it comes to hemming, or when it comes to laying emphasis on hemming for a production. Number one, separate the hem from the main project with a distinct line. So for instance, your full length is 25, and you on your pattern, don't just rule out 20. Maybe you want to add 2 inches for the hem. Don't just rule out 27 inches and start your project. No, do 25. So if your um if your length is 25, and we all know that, okay, let me say I'm making room for 2 inches allowance. Now please don't just rule 27 and then make your line and then continue your project, and then you come and now measure your hip at that 27. No, measure your 25, do all your measurements at that 25. Then after that, make room for your hem. Do you understand? That helps because there's a way a hem, as I'm going to do a video presentation for this hem, so you're going to see properly what I'm talking about. So let's continue. Lay emphasis on the amount of allowance of fabrics to be folded. As a pattern drafter, you are communicating with your pattern. For instance, when I make my patterns, I don't sit with the tailors to explain to them. So most of all my lines, all my instructions, all my notches are already on the pattern. So anyone that takes my pattern understands what I am communicating to them. So as a pattern drafter, you're supposed to lay emphasis, okay, this is where the hem is, from this place to this place. So anyone cutting can then notch those points for the tailor. See, the goal of people I've met in this Lagos, they don't want their tailors to touch their fabrics. I've seen tailors that in the means of trying to cut the armhole, they now cut a straight armhole where there's supposed to be like a curve. And then the cloth is not even looking the same. Many fashion houses that you're trying to produce the same style for different sizes, but then they don't even look alike. One has a curved armhole, the other has a straight armhole, because there is no proper flow of activity. Tailor A cuts her armhole C shape, tailor B cuts her armhole straight and line like this and then turn like this. Tailor C does her own different ways. All of these things have measurements. Size 12 has their own armhole length, armhole depth. Size 14 has its own. So all of these things are specifications that only patterns can emphasize on. So if you're not using a pattern, there will be there won't be orderliness in your flow of work. Now let me continue. Number 3, use the right techniques of hem folding. Now I'm going to be talking a little about this hem folding in the video presentation, and talk about it detailed in my pattern drafting and sewing course. I'm sure most of you have seen it already in the file. So the number 4, make room for sewing allowance and weaving allowances in your hem. So you're cutting freehand or you're cutting on the pattern, and you have intention that I want my hem to be 1 inch bold, but that's the only thing you put on the pattern. Now the tailor takes it. The tailor goes to weave. Tailor has weaved ½ inch away. Then she now folds 1 inch again. As that shortens the length of the sleeve.
Yes. Yeah.
Some tailors will weave, we fold, and they go and press. That's like 1 inch gone from the length, and they will still press 1 inch. Some people weave, they don't want the weaving to show, they will now press again inside, and they now sew. So 1 inch already has gone from the hem. So imagine now your sleeve is a 14 inches sleeve and you just put 1 inch allowance. By the time Sade sews it, Sade has sewn, Sade has weaved and pressed your 1 inch away. Now Sade is giving you a 13 inches sleeve. Another one will give you a 13.5 inches sleeve. Now you wear it on the dress form and you're wondering what's going on. Or your customer wears it and like, but it's a 3/4 sleeve I saw in your sample. Why are you giving me a short sleeve? And you're wondering, I put sewing allowance, I put this and this. So if there is no proper flow, I know many of us we work with tailors, and tailors are they come with their own knowledge. You can't change that. Some people you can't teach them. They come with their knowledge, but you should have rules that guide their knowledge to work towards your vision. So Sholape sews her own shoulder the way she sews it. Oh, Sholape, I like the way you sew, but my own shoulder, I don't want you to turn the back and the front together. Let's make it straight. Let the neck to neck join, and then you sew lining and you sew the clothes. That guides her in your own vision, because maybe most of your customers already like it. But when you leave tailors to do their own things, and then you don't even have a pattern drafter that already has given them what to do, they will now cut different things the way they want to do it. So a proper flow of work, don't let your tailors, with a good pattern drafter, your tailors don't need to make any cuts. And I'm going to show you in how, as we proceed in the class, you see that it is possible to make a pattern that you don't need to recut. It is possible. So make distinct curves for hems with curves and detach it from your side seam. Do not accommodate your side seam into your hem. Let's continue. Now by the time you're now joining your hem, this is your sewing, this is the measurement, and this is the sewing allowance. You now draw your curve from here and draw it like this. Now, my question is, do you know that if this is the length, if this is the length of your curve, do you know that your curve is longer now? Can you guys see? Okay. Can you see? This is your measurement, and this is your sewing allowance. By the time you are now drawing your curve, you now draw your curve from your sewing allowance. You draw it to the center like this. By the time you finish sewing, you will have more length, right? So what do you do as a good pattern drafter or a good sewer? Now this is your I'm coming, I will draw it and show you. So this is your sewing allowance, this is your allowance, and this is your sewing allowance. You start your curve, are you with me, from your measurements, and you go. Then your sewing allowance, you make a straight line. Let me show you what I've been saying since morning. I want to.
Hello everyone. So this is me trying to explain to you the proper way to make room for hemming. I'm using a sleeve as an example. So look at this sleeve. It's already folded in, and look at how the tip of the sleeve is aligning with the circumference of the hand. Now this is because of that shape by the tip of the sleeve. It's because of that shape. There's a way to do that on pattern drafting when you're cutting your pattern, so that by the time they fold the sleeve over, it's not short. Now I'm bending that side to what most of us do. We just cut our sleeve straight, and then by the time they are folding it, look at what is happening. It's going to be, can you see, it's not going to align. So for instance, now if your sewing allowance is like half inch, see, we're going to have a problem at that place. So that side is supposed to go out so that it's going to meet the circumference of the hand that is at the point where it's going to join, so that there will be no issue.
All of these little details. By the time you give a tailor this, when they weave 6 to 5.5, and they still want to fold it to 7.5. It won't work. I'm not trying to make it complicated for you, but I'm just trying to give us a way out so that we don't have issues when we go back to our work. So I hope you enjoyed the video presentation for him. Let's